I thought this job would be easy. Sell some snacks, fill gas tanks, avoid weird customers, and make it through the night. The kind of shift where nothing out of the ordinary happens, right? Well, apparently, that was too much to ask for at the last stop. Gas and go. When I first met Hank, the boss, he seemed like a nice enough guy. But then he gave me the rundown of the place, and let me tell you, it wasn't your typical welcome speech. "Listen, kid," he said, his voice unusually serious, "this place isn't like other gas stations. You're gonna see some strange stuff, especially after 9 p.m. You just gotta roll with it. Don't ask questions. Keep doing your job, sell snacks, fill fuel, clean up, and stay away from James's jokes. You'll be fine." I raised an eyebrow. "James?" "Yeah, James. He's a good guy. But his head's a little messed up. He usually stays outside, filling the tanks, cleaning the washroom, and bringing in stock when we need it. But trust me, you'll know when he's around." I was about to ask more, but Hank just waved it off. "Oh, and one more thing," he added, checking his watch nervously. "After 9 p.m., keep your head down. You'll see what I mean. I'm heading home now. Just remember, act normal." I blinked. Okay." Hank seemed unusually jittery, checking his watch again before bolting for the door. "It's 8:55. Should be back after 9. He shouted, then practically ran out to his car, peeling out of the parking lot like someone was chasing him. It was then I realized, this wasn't just any job. And maybe Hank wasn't as calm about this place as he'd let on. I looked out the window at James, who was picking his nose, deep in thought. "Here we go," I muttered. The place was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you wonder if something's just waiting to jump out and say, "Gotcha." But hey, it's just a gas station. Nothing out of the ordinary. Well, at least that's what I thought. Dog. It was just past 11 p.m., and I was busy stacking candy bars when I heard the chime of the front door. The sound echoed in the otherwise quiet station, making me glance up from my task. No one was there. "Creepy," I muttered, brushing it off. Maybe it was the wind. Or a glitch in the door sensor. Still, I kept my eyes on the door as I went back to work. Then I heard it, a muffled voice. "Hey, bro, could you get me a pack of Marlboros? My paws can't reach." I froze, every hair on the back of my neck standing up. Slowly, I peered over the counter, expecting a kid playing a prank. Instead, I came face to face with a German Shepherd. No leash. No collar. No owner in sight. Just a dog, sitting calmly, wagging its tail. I blinked. "Okay, Nick. You're officially losing it." To prove to myself that this was just a normal dog, I leaned over the counter and scratched behind its ears. The dog leaned into the touch, tail wagging harder. "That's the spot," the dog said, his voice smooth and casual. Nice. I yelped, stumbling back into the candy display. "What the, you talk?" The dog tilted his head, looking almost offended. Yeah? What, you've never seen a talking dog before?" No, I haven't." I stammered. This is insane. "Buddy, you think your life is crazy?" The dog sat down, scratching behind his ear with a back paw. "Let me tell you about mine." I stared, mouth agape, as he launched into his story. "So, I used to be a house dog. Big backyard, cozy bed, gourmet kibble, you name it. Life was good, you know? But then I fell in love with a street dog." "A street dog?" I echoed, still trying to wrap my head around the fact that I was having a conversation with a canine. "Yeah, real free spirit. Name was Daisy. Gorgeous fur, killer smile." He sighed, looking wistful. "But my parents, you humans call them owners, didn't approve. Said she was a bad influence. They tried to keep me inside, but I couldn't stay away. Love, man. It's like a leash around your heart. I said, nodding slowly. So, they had me fixed. Took my balls. Bam. Just like that. I winced. Ouch. Yeah, but did that stop me? No, sir. I kept sneaking out to see her. But then, one day, she dumped me. She dumped you? Yup. He sighed deeply. Said I couldn't, satisfy her needs anymore. Took the puppies, too. Now I'm out here, homeless, single, and trying to quit smoking. Life's rough. I just stood there, completely dumbfounded. This can't be real. The dog wagged his tail. Real enough to bum a cigarette, bro? I shook my head, still in disbelief, and handed him a pack of gum instead. Maybe try this instead. Smoking's bad for you. He took the gum in his mouth, gave me a wink, and trotted toward the door. Thanks, pal. You're all right. As the door swung shut behind him, I collapsed onto a stool, staring at the spot where he'd stood. A talking dog with a tragic love life. This was going to be one long night. James wandered in just as the dog left. What's up, man? You look like you saw a ghost. A talking dog just bought gum. James snorted. Yeah, and I'm the Queen of England. Get back to work. Time past talk. James scratched his head like he was thinking hard. So, you ever wonder why we get so many weird customers around here? I blinked. I mean, it's a gas station, right? People come by all the time for gas. He squinted, as if that answer wasn't quite satisfying enough. Right, but like, you ever think some of them aren't people? I froze for a second. What? James leaned in, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Like, what if there's some sort of otherworldly being coming in, disguised as a normal person, just to mess with you? You think that could happen? I stared at him for a beat. No. No, I don't think that's what's happening here. James shrugged. Yeah, me neither. Probably just me overthinking again. I do that sometimes, you know. It's the gas fumes. They get to you after a while. I let out a nervous laugh, not sure if I should be worried or amused. Right, gas fumes. James looked over at the window for a moment, his eyes locking on something outside. After a few seconds, he turned back to me. You ever wonder what would happen if a gas station just vanished? I mean, like, no warning, just gone? Poof. Do you think anyone would notice? I blinked. What? Just asking for a friend, he said, his voice flat, then quickly added, anyway, I'm gonna go clean the outside. I'll be back in a minute. Without another word, James turned around and shuffled back out the door, leaving me standing there, still processing whatever the heck that conversation was. What was up with him? And why did he make everything sound so unsettling? I stared at the door for a moment as James sat back outside, now staring into the distance. His face looked oddly serene, like he wasn't even bothered by the bizarre questions he just asked. Just when I thought things might settle down, I heard the door chime again. Here we go, I thought. So, there I was, munching down on my sandwich, trying to ignore the weird tension in the air. I had barely made it through a few bites when the door creaked open again. This time, I barely looked up. A guy walked in, and I could already feel the strange vibe radiating off him. Tall, pale, slick black hair, and, yeah, fangs. Real fangs. Good evening, he said in a deep, dramatic voice. I am Count Draculo. The night is my domain. I glanced up, blinking a few times. Hey man, what's up? I said, still trying to finish my sandwich without looking completely terrified. The Count stepped closer to the counter, his cloak trailing behind him like he was auditioning for a vampire movie. I require a pack of Marlboros. He said it like he was about to make a request to a king, and I wasn't sure whether to laugh or run. Sure, I got you, I said, grabbing the cigarettes from the shelf and moving back to the counter. I was about to hand them over when... "Wait," he said, his voice a little more urgent. He looked at me with hunger in his eyes. "May I have a bite?" I froze. I had no idea what he meant, but with those fangs, I wasn't taking any chances. No way in hell was I letting this guy bite me. I stepped back a bit, wide-eyed. What? You want a bite?" No, he said, waving his hands in mock disgust. "That's just nasty. I was talking about your sandwich." My eyes widened in confusion. My sandwich." He nodded like it was the most obvious thing in the world. "I've been starving all night. The blood here is just, no. But a sandwich? That, I can go for." Relieved but still kind of freaked out, I awkwardly handed him half of my sandwich, watching as he took a bite. He made a strange noise of satisfaction, licking his lips. Yes, much better. You should consider getting something with more protein, though. This is just bread and lettuce." I nodded nervously. "Yeah, I usually just go with whatever I've got." After a few more chews, he looked up at me again, eyes sparkling with an idea. "By the way, does this sandwich contain garlic?" My heart skipped a beat. Was he seriously asking if there was garlic in my sandwich? Was that a thing for vampires? No, I stammered, "I don't think so." "Why?" The Count raised an eyebrow, looking deeply offended. "Good. Because that's just offensive." I chuckled nervously, trying to make the situation seem normal again. "Yeah, no garlic here, promise." He looked satisfied and gave a little bow, as if I had done something extraordinary. "Thank you for your understanding, young man. It's not easy being a vegan vampire in today's world, you know." I tried to hold back a laugh. "Right. Vegan. Of course." He handed me something shiny, gold coin, I think, and dropped it on the counter. "For the sandwich," he said with a serious nod. "Keep the change." Before I could say anything, he turned and walked out, his cloak sweeping behind him like he was off to the next dramatic adventure. I stood there for a second, still processing everything that just happened. A vegan vampire, eating my sandwich, paying me in gold. "Yeah, sure," I muttered to myself, "normal night at the gas station." I glanced at the door just as it closed behind him. It was gonna be a long night. I stood there in stunned silence for a few moments, staring at the gold coin Count Dracula had left on the counter. What just happened? But before I could gather my thoughts, the door slammed open again, and in came James, running like a madman. He was out of breath, eyes wide with excitement, and his shirt all wrinkled like he had just sprinted the whole way back. "You son of a gun!" James yelled, pointing at me. "Lucky man." I blinked, still trying to process everything. "What are you talking about?" James's eyes darted to the gold coin on the counter, and his grin grew even wider. "Did you get the gold coin? Dracula rarely comes around here, and you found him on your first night shift? Dude, that's like winning the jackpot." I rubbed my temples. "Yeah, I don't know what just happened, but he asked for a bite, then he ate my sandwich, and then he paid me in gold." James threw his head back and laughed. "Ha! Classic Dracula move. He always pays in gold. That guy's been around for centuries. He loves the drama." "Wait, what? You know him?" I asked, now even more confused. "Oh yeah," James said, leaning in, lowering his voice like he was telling a secret. "Everyone around here knows about Dracula. You see, he went vegan after the whole diabetes thing." I furrowed my brow. "Diabetes?" "Yeah, man," James nodded seriously. "Turns out, all that human blood wasn't good for him. Too much sugar, too much junk. He had to make a lifestyle change. That's why he started turning to plant-based alternatives. You ever seen a vampire cry over a tofu salad? It's a real sight to behold." I stared at James, not knowing whether to laugh or just be completely weirded out. So, you're saying Dracula doesn't drink blood anymore because of diabetes? James shrugged like it was the most normal thing in the world. Yup. The guy just doesn't like the taste of human blood anymore. Says it's too sweet and not pure enough, whatever that means. So now he's all about that kale and tempeh life. I shook my head. This place is messed up. Just then, we both turned our attention to the parking lot. A sleek, shiny Lamborghini rolled up, purring like a lion. The engine cut off, and the door opened. Well, look who decided to show up, James said, a grin plastered across his face. You see that? That's a real customer. This guy knows what's up. Watch this. He dashed outside without another word, practically skipping in excitement. I stood at the counter, still holding the gold coin, trying to piece everything together. First night shift, and I'd already met a vegan vampire, gotten paid in gold, and now, a Lamborghini. What kind of place was this? I just shook my head, chuckling to myself. I'm never getting out of here, am I? But the night was still young, and this gas station? Well, it still had plenty more surprises in store. Stay tuned, I will be back tomorrow. Good night.